right, welcome everybody. Wombat here coming at you. 3 weeks in. Sorry again, I work full time, so I don't have the time to dedicate to doing this weekly as much as I'd like. Eventually, I'd like to get up there, but working full time, a little difficult. Anywho, I'm going to get you some tips and tricks coming into the limited weekend that I highly recommend. Strategy moving forwards, especially if you're a big no money spent player, or even if you do spend money. This is just good for you to try to do for future limited weekends. So in the challenges, every weekend for limited, there is a limited challenge for you to do. You usually have to adhere to the rules of the limited weekend. So basically you use your limited weekend team that you make. That being said, last week it was Kispert. He was a gold card, but he comes, if you've noticed, all the base cards that are golds, none of them have any badges. Kispert, in fact, let me go to him. My collection, it is rewards, and it is season rewards, okay? I didn't realize that you could only get them on the limited weekend, so I missed Dennis Smith Jr. and Joe Ingles. But here is the Kispert that was last weekend. He comes with a total of 10 badges. And these badges were, basically he's lights out from the corner. If he's in the corner and he's wide open, he's not missing. If you've played limited last season in 21, in 2K21, you know that having these low tier cards that are high producers really help when you're in your limited weekend team, making. Here is the Isaiah Ryder card that is the reward for this weekend. And as you can see here, he comes with a total of 23 badges. Again, he is supposed to be a dunker. I can tell you right now, personally, from using him, he's actually got an amazing 3-ball. And he can drive to the basket as well. 6'5". He's got an 83 3-ball, great release. Just absolutely, for an emerald, and when we're going to be going into limited weekends where, like right now we can only have one real upper tier card, Amy or higher, 4 rubies, and then the rest have to be, emeralds or lower. There are going to be weekends where it's going to be nothing but, golds, nothing but emeralds, or, predominantly emeralds, or, you're going to want to be able to mix these limited reward weekend cards in those lineups to make the best lineup possible. Just to make it easier when you're grinding for your limited card, for the limited reward weekends, your rings, that, you know what I'm saying. So that's one of my biggest advices on going in limited weekends. My next advice, when creating, your lineup for limited, I don't know if a lot of people know this. You literally can hit the left L1 button, and it literally highlights who you can use, who qualifies for limited weekend. So if you're struggling at all creating a lineup, that is, the best way to go in, in each position, hit that, and then you can see who you can choose from. I also highly recommend, as you can see, I have Isaiah Ryder in my lineup, just because I liked using him. He was actually really good. I also highly recommend using cards that you're familiar with, that you know how they play. I want to say I was using one of the newer cards from Dunktober originally. I forget who I was using off the top of my head when I was playing last night. But I don't know their shot. I highly recommend going in, obviously learning people's shot, playing with them in freestyle so you can learn their release. But just, again, highly recommend playing with guys that you are already familiar with. So definitely want to suggest that. Also, make a team that suits your play style, how you like to play. Like I always like to have a center that is, lights out defensive lockdown. You're coming in the paint, he is blocking it, or he's making it difficult for you to score. To be honest, I only have Bagley here because I was doing the challenge, and when going up against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar against the CPU, Bagley was faster, so I could just move around him, and his fadeaway is actually pretty good as well. So is Kareem's, actually. But again, make a team that suits your style. So I also have Michael Porter Jr. because he has blinders, and he actually has a really good shot. So for my play style, I like having a 4 that can shoot. James Worthy doesn't have the best 3-ball, but he can shoot from the corners, and that's really all I need him to do. This Bogdanovic, his defense is trash if you let the CPU do it. Sorry, I'm looking. My dog's right here bugging me, so if you guys hear me yell at someone, it's my dogs because they're wanting attention. But this Bogdanovic, he can actually play defense if you take control of him. He has red zones at the 4 of the 5 outer rings from the three-pointer. Just straight up the middle is the only place he's missing. But still, his release is actually pretty good. Fairly quick for being that of a Sapphire, so I definitely recommend him. If he's wide open, you shouldn't miss. Duncan Robinson, same thing. If he's wide open, should not miss. Amazing 3-ball. Terrible defense unless you take control of them. For me, Baron Davis was really my only other option for a point guard. That's why I have a Ruby as a point guard, because it was either that or Brad Davis and some other, random person. And, Baron Davis actually wasn't too bad. So basically, make a style, make a team that, fits your style. I also then highly recommend, and I cannot stress this enough, go into freestyle. Before you start playing, here's my biggest set of advice. Don't go straight into a limited game cold. If you haven't played for the day, don't go into an online online having not played that day and expect to start kicking ass unless you're already really good. And hey, kudos to you. This is for those of us who, aren't that good. My recommendation, I always come in here. I always go to my sliders. Mine's set on All-Star because it's set for whatever the last game difficulty you played on. So if you played online last, it'll be online difficulty, which is, I believe, All-Star. My recommendation, switch it to Hall of Fame. If you can shoot on Hall of Fame and green regularly, you can shoot online in-game. Plain and simple. If you can sit here and green with... man, it's hard to talk and shoot at the same time sometimes. Sorry. But if you can do that on Hall of Fame, you can do it online. It's really just learning the timing, the shot, and this is what this helps you do. Hall of Fame pretty much locks in that green for you. It helps you to learn your timing and just lock it in. And that's what I recommend. I usually come in here for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and I literally will shoot with every single player. Like right now, I'm just dicking around because I'm doing this video and showing you guys kind of what I do to prepare for the limited weekend. And this is, again, it helps you, again, with your timing. Now, I have my meter on because everybody has different jump shots. And right now, at the beginning of the game, everybody's jump shot takes, for the most part, a lot longer than... once we start getting into pink diamonds, opals, and dark matters. If I go back to 2K21, I don't play with a meter because I know most everyone's jump shot because they're much faster. The releases speed up as the tiers get higher. So I also, because we have so many different tiers of card for the limited weekend, that's another reason why I have the meter, because everyone has a drastically different jump shot. So obviously Jamal Murray, being a diamond, has a much faster jump shot or release, I should say, than I believe just about everybody on my team. Sorry, here my monitor went off, and I just want to, see, we were getting ready to go live, and I didn't want to do that. So let's take out Murray. Let's put in Bogdanovic, okay, because he's a Sapphire, and I told you there's all of his hot zones. I also recommend everyone, learn hot zones. Learn who your shooters are, and then learn your hot zones. And like I said, this is what helps you with your timing. And look, with Bogdanovic, he's got a fairly quick release. Now, obviously, when you play online, you have the delay. Anticipate that delay. That's why I also have my meter on, because that meter also online, you stop it before it gets there, and it usually greens it for you because of the delay. So you just hold it down a little bit longer, learn your delay, and you start greening. Also, don't be afraid to take mids. A lot of people I've noticed so far aren't taking advantage of mid shots, mid-range shots. Especially since they made defense so much harder, or I should say much better. They made defense so much better this year, but they also made it way more difficult to drive to the basket and score. That being said, take advantage of these mid-range shots that these shooters can hit. If you can't drive to the basket, get out. Do those fadeaways, do these short little jumpers if you can't quite make it in, and especially if you're not hitting your threes very well, or if they're anticipating threes. Drive to the basket, do a pullback, and then hit that, that mid-range. These little tips and tricks, it makes a world of difference, just saying. And then, I also highly recommend, if you are not familiar with your center, it is imperative that you learn how to do fadeaways, do your hook shots. I use the stick, and I use user timing. I know a lot of people will say not to, because it's difficult, but I find once you get used to it, and again, playing on Hall of Fame, if you play on Hall of Fame and you get used to greening and moving on Hall of Fame with your center, when you play online on All-Star against people, unless you're playing against someone who really knows what they're doing, you're going to find that you will hone your skill and get much better. And then the CPU becomes nothing. Even on Hall of Fame, the CPU is nothing. Once you master this on Hall of Fame, it lights out. This is a part of growing, though. You don't just eventually, you don't start on Hall of Fame in a sense, unless if you are brand new and you want to start on Hall of Fame and that's how you want to practice, you're going to get really frustrated. And my next recommendation when it comes to Hall of Fame and it comes to shooting, this is something that I learned from another streamer, or in a sense, I guess that they didn't know it, and he's a pretty good streamer in my opinion. You can prime your shots. Let's use Darius Miles. It helps if you actually sub them. All right. So, yes, if you have the ball and you go to shoot, my recommendation is to hold the button down as hard as you can at first and lightly let up as the meter's going. Obviously, the most pressure at first will allow you so that as it's getting closer, you're not still forcing it down. But I also find that it helps me to green shots better when I'm holding it down harder at the beginning. Excuse me. Jackson and Luna, please. Lay down. Good boy. Luna, lay down. Good girl. It's not dinner time yet. We're getting there. Sorry about that. All right, so here is priming the shot. So, actually, I messed up. All right, so I'm going to shoot this. And what priming the shot is, so I'm going to be over here in the corner, all right? Now I'm going to call for the pass. Now before the pass gets there, I'm going to hold down my shoot button. And as soon as he gets the ball, it sets him. And for me, it makes it easier, again, to shoot. Now, a lot of people are going to say it might mess up your timing. When you're on online gameplay and you're doing a fast break, you just intercepted a pass and Darius Miles wasn't all the way up the court. What you would do is you would throw call a direct pass to him. Now, while you're doing that, you'll use your left analog stick to move him to the corner, right? And while you're doing that, you're going to hold down the shoot button at the same time. And when the pass arrives to him, that was terrible. It allows him, again, look at that. I didn't green it, but for whatever reason, these online, a lot of the YouTubers that I watch, they complain about, all these whites. The whites, in my opinion, I think are coming from people who are priming, because I tend to make more shots whiting when I prime than when just, pulling up. And again, it also, for me, usually, once you get in a groove with him, and especially if the guy's on fire, with my priming, I very rarely miss. And again, this is on Hall of Fame, and Darius Miles may not be the best person, but again, you get that timing down with that priming, and it's just, you can pretty much green almost every shot. And especially if you're wide open. I recommend priming when it's a wide open, fast break, guys wide open in the corner, Bogdanovich would be much better. And I highly recommend it, real shooters. Not that Darius Miles isn't a real shooter. He is. Look at that. There's 3 in a row. Let's see how many I can get in a row. Nope. See, I only got 3. And then I just start screwing up and not focusing on my timing. But again, early, look at that. That was an early, that was a late, that's a super late. It was an early, it was a late, and they both went in. And then I green, that was a slightly late, didn't make it. Look at that right afterwards. We got a green, another green. And I'm doing all of these shots right now are prime shots. This is me holding down, called for the, all right, now watch. I'll call for the pass, holding down, shoot, boom. Call for the pass, holding down, shoot, boom. So, okay, that being said, I think those are really all my tips and tricks at the moment that I can think of to kind of help your new users or anybody who's new. 18 minutes long. Hope this was helpful to you. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'll be bringing more content to you throughout the weeks. I think the next video I'm going to do is kind of where you should be in terms of, if you're working, how much time you have to spend in this and where you're going to be. Appreciate all the love and support. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Come right back at you. Peace.